You know those rare moments when time seems to freeze for just a second? A room grows silent, all eyes turn to one person, and suddenly, nothing feels quite the same. That was the kind of moment Courtney Thorne-Smith created when she stepped out in a way no one expected. It wasn't just a fashion statement, it felt like a declaration. For decades, Courtney was known as the calm, relatable star from popular TV shows like Melrose Place and According to Jim. She was the kind of actress who never chased attention and didn't need the spotlight. That's why, when she made her appearance, it hit differently. Her outfit, her presence, and the response it evoked left people in awe. But there was something deeper happening here. This was more than just a style choice. It was a statement about transformation, self-expression, and the courage to change. The image everyone thought they knew for years, Courtney Thorne-Smith embodied a particular type of Hollywood presence, grounded, relatable, and accessible. She wasn't known for making waves or chasing tabloid headlines. Instead, she had a quiet, understated elegance that allowed audiences to connect with her on a deeper level. Whether she was playing characters in Melrose Place or According to Jim, Courtney brought sincerity and warmth to her roles. Her characters were real, flawed yet kind, confident but not showy. Off-screen, Courtney mirrored that same energy. She rarely sought the spotlight, choosing a private lifestyle with occasional red carpet appearances. This carefully cultivated image was something fans could rely on, and it's precisely why the moment when she stepped out in a new, bold way was so powerful. It wasn't just a change in her appearance. It was a shake-up of everything people thought they knew about her. A moment that changed the room. Courtney's appearance that day didn't come with any fanfare. There were no flashing lights or dramatic build-ups. She simply walked into the room and everything shifted. Conversations stopped. Heads turned. The kind of silence that followed wasn't awkward. It was the kind of silence that comes when people are trying to process something unexpected. Her outfit wasn't just different. It was daring. It was a far cry from the modest and understated looks she had worn in the past. But it wasn't extreme or reckless either. There was a quiet intention behind it, a quiet confidence that made the outfit seem natural rather than forced. She stood tall, composed, and fully at ease in her own skin. This confidence, unshakable and unapologetic, turned what could have been a shocking fashion choice into a powerful statement. It was about how she wore it, not just what she wore. The confidence was the real game changer. Why the surprise hit so hard. For many people, surprise only works when expectations are set in stone. Courtney's public persona had been consistent for decades. She was seen as someone who stayed within the boundaries of what was comfortable, both professionally and personally. So when she stepped outside that well-established box, it created a ripple. The reaction wasn't about judgment, it was about surprise. It challenged the narrative people had unknowingly written about her. They thought they knew what to expect from Courtney, and when she defied that, it caused cognitive dissonance. This wasn't a scandal. It was a moment that forced people to reevaluate their perceptions of her. It was the mind scrambling to adjust to a new version of someone they thought they fully understood. And that kind of shift in perspective, it's what makes a moment unforgettable. The internet reacts instantly. As soon as images of Courtney's appearance hit social media, the conversation went into overdrive. The reaction was immediate and widespread. Comments flooded in, tweets were shared, and debates sparked up across all platforms. Some people praised her for being bold and fearless, calling her confidence empowering. Others were simply confused, questioning whether it was really her or someone else. A few even speculated that the appearance was a strategic move to reclaim the spotlight, a calculated attempt to get attention. But whatever the reaction, the level of engagement was undeniable. The moment had struck a nerve. Even fellow celebrities chimed in, some applauding Courtney for breaking expectations, others acknowledging how refreshing it was to see someone embrace change so gracefully. What stood out wasn't just the division of opinions, but the fascination. People were talking, reacting, and reflecting on what this moment meant. And that kind of attention doesn't come without relevance. Was it really about attention? It's easy to assume that bold moves by public figures are motivated by a desire for attention, but that explanation doesn't quite fit in Courtney's case. For years, she had built her career on consistency, talent, and restraint. She didn't chase fame or shock value, so the idea that she suddenly needed attention seems like a stretch. A more compelling explanation is that her appearance was about something much deeper: personal freedom. Courtney didn't need to prove anything to anyone. She had already carved out her place in television history. What this moment signaled was a shift in how she saw herself. It wasn't about needing validation from the public. It was about embracing her own evolution. Sometimes, when people reach a certain point in life, they stop asking for permission to evolve. They change because they want to, not because they're trying to provoke. This wasn't an attempt to reclaim the spotlight. It was a reflection of her own self-assurance. Breaking away from a long-held mold, being associated with a specific image for decades, can feel like a trap, even when that image is positive. For years, Courtney embodied a sense of stability, gentleness, and warmth. While these qualities made her beloved by fans, they also limited her ability to express all of who she was. People are layered, complex, and constantly evolving, but fame often locks individuals into one version of themselves, freezing them in time. Breaking free from that mold can be unsettling, not just for the audience, but for the person doing it. Courtney's appearance that day wasn't a rejection of the past, but an expansion of it. By embracing a bolder, more confident side of herself, she reminded everyone that growth doesn't stop just because the spotlight shifts. Reinvention doesn't always require an announcement. Sometimes it's simply about showing up differently and letting the world adjust. That kind of quiet rebellion is far more powerful than any dramatic gesture. Confidence that spoke louder than words. What truly made this moment unforgettable wasn't the outfit Courtney wore. It was the confidence with which she carried herself. Her posture was straight, her expression calm, and there was no sign of discomfort or hesitation. She didn't seem to be seeking approval or worrying about backlash. Instead, she was entirely at ease in her own skin. Confidence like that is not something you can fabricate. It's not something you can style or rehearse. It comes from a deep sense of self-acceptance. And when someone exudes that kind of confidence, it reframes how everything around them is perceived. What could have been dismissed as a risky fashion choice instead felt like a powerful declaration of self-assurance. Confidence turns boldness into empowerment, and that's what made this moment so captivating. People couldn't look away, not because they were judging her, but because they were witnessing something authentic and empowering. Why this moment felt relatable. At its core, this moment resonated because it touched on something deeply human. So many of us have felt the desire to step outside of expectations at some point, to dress differently, speak up, or show another side of ourselves, but have hesitated due to the fear of judgment. Watching someone do it so calmly and confidently can feel inspiring. Courtney Thorne-Smith didn't ask for permission. She didn't explain herself. She simply showed up as she was, unapologetically. That quiet courage is relatable because it mirrors a struggle most people face privately. The desire to be seen as more than one version of ourselves is universal. Her appearance reminded everyone that growth doesn't need permission. It doesn't need validation. It's about embracing change on your own terms. And that's why the conversation surrounding her moment went beyond just fashion. It became a discussion about authenticity, self-empowerment, and the freedom to change without apology. Challenging how we judge change. Courtney's bold appearance also challenged the way society views change, particularly when it comes to women. There are unspoken rules about how people should age or evolve, especially after they've established a public identity. When someone shifts their style or presentation later in life, it often receives harsher scrutiny than when younger celebrities do the same. Courtney's moment pushed against those expectations. It asked a simple, powerful question: why should anyone remain the same forever? Growth doesn't have an expiration date. Self-expression isn't tied to age or phase. By stepping outside of her usual image, Courtney forced people to reconsider how rigid those societal rules are. And the discomfort people felt wasn't about what she wore. It was about the fact that she dared to change. That discomfort was a reflection of how often we project limitations onto others without realizing it. It exposed how deeply ingrained expectations can be and gently pushed back against them. More than a fashion statement, reducing this moment to a simple fashion choice would be missing the point. The outfit was just the surface. What people were reacting to was transformation. The contrast between the Courtney Thorne-Smith they thought they knew and the one she showed them that day created a ripple effect. It wasn't about shock value. It was about presence. Courtney didn't make a dramatic statement, but she made a clear one. She was embracing who she had become, not who she had been. That contrast is what sparked conversation, reflection, and debate. It reminded everyone that public figures, just like all of us, are constantly evolving. This wasn't about stealing attention or reinventing herself. It was about choosing to step into the room as her full, authentic self. And sometimes, that quiet, confident shift can make more of an impact than anything loud or overt. Why people are still talking. The reason this moment still lingers in people's minds is simple. It broke expectations without breaking the essence of who Courtney is. She didn't become someone else. She didn't abandon her history. She expanded on it. People are still talking about it because the moment invited multiple interpretations. Was it empowerment, reinvention, personal freedom? The answer is likely different for each viewer. That's the beauty of moments like this. They don't provide easy answers. They spark ongoing discussion, allowing people to reflect on their own assumptions and views. Courtney's appearance didn't dictate how people should think. It simply invited them to look again, to reconsider what they thought they knew. And that kind of impact doesn't fade quickly. It stays because it challenges assumptions in a quiet but powerful way. Final thoughts. At the end of the day, this moment wasn't about approval or controversy. It was about presence. Courtney Thorne-Smith reminded everyone that growth is a personal journey, expression is fluid, and no one owes anyone consistency at the cost of authenticity. She didn't need to be understood. She simply showed up as herself. And that's what made the moment unforgettable. Whether you saw it as a bold fashion move or a surprising shift, one thing is clear. It made people stop and take notice. And sometimes that's the power of choosing yourself. So now, the question turns to you. Did this moment feel inspiring, unexpected, or uncomfortable? And why? The answers to those questions say just as much about us as they do about her.